Since we're talking specifics, why don't we take a look at that suspect image which had emerged at the same time as this? Why don't we look at that? So maybe he's just real light-skinned? You think light-skinned? I don't know, that curl pattern don't look familiar. That curl pattern don't look like us. This just must be the reflexive anti-blackness. This just must be that anti-black racism that just when you just return back to your natural state. Shout out to all the subscribers and the members here on the channel. Don't forget to like the video. I am Reese Waters, and this is Racist of the Week, where we explore the stupidity and hypocrisy of discrimination in hopes we can build a more perfect union. And also laugh. As usual, I would like to thank today's sponsor, Racism. And of course, if you have any nominees, you can drop them in the comments. You can email me at admin@reesewaters.com.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him. On the evening of September 11th, a family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident. This information was relayed to the Utah County Sheriff's Office and scene investigators at Utah Valley University. This information was also conveyed to the FBI. Investigators reviewed additional video footage from UVU surveillance and identified Robinson arriving on UVU campus in a gray Dodge Challenger at approximately 8:29 a.m. on September 10th, in which he is observed on video in a plain maroon t-shirt, light-colored shorts, a black hat with a white logo, and light-colored shoes. When encountered in person by investigators in Washington County on September 12th, in the early morning hours, Robinson was observed in consistent clothing with those surveillance images. Investigators interviewed a family member of Robinson who stated that Robinson had become more political in recent years. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th, and in the conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had. The family member also stated Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate.
Now let's see exactly who this is. I don't know. Maybe we should look into Grok. AI knows everything. Grok explains Tyler Robinson's political beliefs. Spoiler alert, he's a MAGA groiper. In my view, these inscriptions on the ammo casings, notices, bulges, OWO, oh Bella Chow, Bella Chow, Bella Chow Chow, catch this fascist, and if you're reading this, you are gay, LMAO, aren't random or left-leaning signals like some early reports claim. Instead, they trace Tyler Robinson's political beliefs squarely to the fringes of the alt-right, specifically the Groyper movement led by figures like Nick Fuentes. The crowd positions itself as hyper-patriotic, pro-Trump conservatives who see mainstream Republicans like Charlie Kirk as sellouts or fake conservatives infected by globalism, liberalism, or even fascism light. Overall, it's not Antifa or trans activism, it's the toxic underbelly of the MAGA ecosystem where online radicalization turns personal grievances into violence against perceived ideological impurities. Robinson's Republican registration and Trump donations fit the profile. A young guy steeped in gun culture and pandemic-era echo chambers, lashing out at the enemy within on his own side. Tragic, but a reminder that extremism doesn't care about party lines, it just amplifies hate.
Charlie Kirk got murdered by one of his own. Let me say it again so it can sink in. Charlie Kirk was assassinated by one of his own. Let me break it down. Not black, not brown, not Muslim, not Arab, not Palestinian, not Latino, not immigrant, not LGBTQIA, not Democrat. So who is he? Meet Tyler Robinson. I mean, names don't come more American and more white than that. A white, American, cisgendered male, Christian, from a pro-Trump loving Republican family. I mean, MAGA must be in chaos, because how are they going to spin this? This is not a lefty that did this, but a righty.
Meanwhile, multiple HBCUs under lockdown after receiving terroristic threats. Multiple historically black colleges and universities, or HBCUs, have gone into lockdown after threats were directed at the campus, school officials announced. Alabama State University, Hampton University, Virginia State University, Southern University and A&M College, and Bethune-Cookman locked down the morning of September 11th, each citing potential threats made against campuses. The lockdown at Southern University was later lifted, but all campus activities and classes were canceled through the weekend, school officials announced on social media. So let me get this straight. We had all these think pieces prior to the election, preemptively blaming black people if Democrats didn't win and Trump won re-election, about black support and whether or not they were fervent enough for Kamala Harris. And then after the election, when they were proven to be the strongest voting bloc standing in opposition to this takeover, it was seen as not high enough. It was the highest, but somehow not high enough. And then also the finger being pointed in the months since then at black participation in resistance efforts. Where are the black people? Where is the black opposition? That is fascinating. So at each point in time, the focus has been on what black people are doing. And yet here we are.
The manhunt is over and an assassination suspect is in custody. Authorities have identified 22-year-old Tyler Robinson of Utah as the man behind the deadly shooting of Charlie Kirk.
Federal officials believe Robinson acted alone. It is Friday afternoon.
Meanwhile, well, right now, historically black colleges and universities across the country are currently under lockdown after a slew of threats that were called in today. Moments ago, Spelman College announcing a shelter in place over the threats, including at Clark Atlanta University, which is near their campus.
Other HBCUs receiving threats today: Hampton University, Virginia State University, Alabama University, Bethune-Cookman University, and Southern University. The schools urging students to remain vigilant, saying these lockdowns will be in place until further notice. NBC News correspondent Stephen Romo is following the latest for us. It seems, Stephen, like we're getting even more campuses that are closing down just upon hearing what the other campuses are choosing to do.
That's true. And to be honest, it's been hard to keep up because we just keep getting new information from new campuses that are shutting down because of concern or because they've received direct threats from this. You mentioned we had Southern University as well. That's in Baton Rouge. Bethune-Cookman, which is in Daytona Beach. And interesting, Spelman University has that shelter-in-place order, but it's actually not received any specific threats, they said. But the close proximity to Clark Atlanta University has made them, out of an abundance of caution, decide to issue a shelter-in-place just because of how close they are. They have said they're also increasing security just in case. We have statements from the other universities you mentioned as well. Virginia State University, Alabama University, Hampton University, and Hampton, Virginia. All of these statements so far seem pretty similar. They're saying they have received a threat directly to campus, and they are either asking people to stay off campus or issuing a lockdown order, a shelter-in-place order, so people stay where they are. There is a lot of concern here. Of course, the Charlie Kirk shooting happened on a college campus. We had the Colorado shooting at a high school yesterday as well. The heightened sense of tension is palpable in these students I've seen online replying to this. There's a very real fear. Having lockdowns on campus and these types of threats is not unheard of. It's pretty common. But all of these happening today, specifically at HBCUs, is causing a lot of concern.
That's right, specifically at HBCUs. Now, since we're talking specifics, why don't we take a look at that suspect image which had emerged at the same time as this? Why don't we look at that? So maybe he's just real light-skinned, you think? Light-skinned? I don't know, that curl pattern don't look familiar. That curl pattern don't look like us. Huh. This just must be the reflexive anti-blackness. This just must be that anti-black racism that just when you just return back to your natural state. That must be exactly what it don't got nothing to do with anything. It's just, you know, that's just how we show anger, is just being racist. Now, I definitely have to ask, who is this on? Because I remember Nancy Mace talked about who Charlie Kirk was on. Who is this on?
I'm going to say this. Democrats own what happened today. I am devastated. My kids have called panicking. All the kids of every conservative in the country called panicking. Just because you speak your mind on an issue doesn't mean you get shot.
Then by that logic, do Republicans own the shooting of the 2 Democratic lawmakers in Minnesota? Isn't this on both sides?
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm asking.
We don't know what condition Charlie Kirk is in right now. Some raging leftist lunatic put a bullet through his neck, and you want to talk about Republicans right now? No.
No, I'm asking.
No, not at all.
You said the Democrats have
this is on. Democrats own this.
But isn't there a problem with political violence across the spectrum?
Yeah, we're talking about Charlie Kirk right now.
Grok explains Tyler Robinson's political beliefs. Spoiler alert, he's a MAGA groiper. And if you thought that was bad, you don't know Nancy Mace. She can do worse.
This shit ends. Like, enough is enough. And now I have to deal with real safety concerns. It sounds like the shooter was a tranny or pro-trans. And just because I want to protect women, that I'm worried about getting murdered? Are you fucking kidding me? It's out of control, and enough is enough. And I'm going to double down on this. I'm going to be more vigilant than ever. I'm going to be louder than I've ever been until this shit stops. It's got to stop.
And keep in mind, all of that was prior to a suspect being named. Prior to a suspect being named. So we have black campuses being targeted because Lord knows this is our thing, right? This is definitely our thing, right? You got black campuses being targeted, and now you have her saying, because my favorite clip section of that was transgender or pro-transgender. Either way, either way, you know what I mean? Anybody else you want to smear in that? Anybody else you want to attach to that, Nancy Mace? I mean, how did he feel about universal health care? Yeah, this imaginary person in your head that you have to make up because you have no idea who the suspect was at that time. How did he feel about all these streaming apps? You want to take a shot at that? Maybe you were in South Carolina. Maybe he was a Clemson fan. Oh, wait, no, he definitely wouldn't be a Clemson fan because Clemson's head coach Dabo Swinney is the one who said it's no more racism after Barack Obama was elected. So, yeah, that naturally he would be a Carolina Gamecocks fan. I'm certain. Well, you know what? We can actually find out. But despite the actual identity of the suspect, despite the photos that went out of the suspect, despite the historical relevance of black people to this kind of thing, because didn't the Supreme Court go ahead and just reinstitute racial profiling? Wasn't that the whole thing? The Supreme Court, they just went, what timing? They just went and instituted the racial profiling again when it comes to ICE. So of course, you know, we gotta have colorblind college admissions, but we certainly can't have colorblind prisons. Oh no, never that. And don't think that won't be a piece in and of itself. So we just went and instituted racial profiling, but somehow y'all want to come looking at us for something like this.
And when you see what happened yesterday in Utah, and as a college student yourself, does that ever make you, worried about your safety when you're walking around campus?
Definitely does. Specifically, just because this is a HBCU specifically, and a lot of the people that were supporting the man that died yesterday are not so much for HBCUs or people that are in them or attend them. So I definitely do think that we stick out more as a target. And VSU, like I said, also got a threat, and they are also a HBCU. So it definitely does feel like we have a target on our back right now.
So here is the trick bag that we find ourselves in right now. We are getting the boot end of this administration and have since the very beginning, despite being the ones that spoke the loudest in standing in opposition to it. And yes, I don't think those two things are unrelated. Then in a moment like this, you have folks that are justifiably angry at the revisionist history and the kind of rhetoric that has been directed at us to legitimize all of the injustice that we have suffered up to this point. Then you have us being targeted after the fact, despite no actual connection to the crime or the perpetrators to the crime. And that used as a justification to accelerate the kind of attacks that we've already seen up to this point. Somehow holding us accountable and blaming us is just part of America getting back healthy again. That is fascinating. That's just part of us feeling right again. It's like mother's milk to America, pointing the finger at black people. They've gone so far as to point the finger at Obama. Yes, that's right. That's right. The level of accountability is not even on zero, it's on negative.
I am sick and I am tired of hearing people say, like Barack Obama did, like Hillary Clinton did, oh, we condemn this violence. You caused it. Look at me right now. You caused this. When you tell people that someone is, you are telling crazy people, go kill them.
Obama's actually a pretty interesting case, because when we saw the kind of violence that we're seeing now during the Obama administration, like say Dylan Roof, where he was specifically white supremacist, what we heard from Obama in that moment was a message of peace and reconciliation and trying to bring the country together. And don't think everybody was on that type of time. Do not think everybody was on that type of time. But that's what we heard from Obama when we knew what the motivations of the shooter were. On the other hand, with no idea even who the shooter is, what we hear from Trump.
For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives.
And after that, after some time to reflect on exactly what kind of tone you want to put out into the nation, and hearing the responses to what you put out initially, he actually had a second go at it. And where'd he go with that one?
Radicals on the right as well. We have radicals on the left. People are watching all of these videos and cheering. Some people are cheering that Charlie was killed. How do we fix this country? How do we come back together?
I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right,
oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime. They don't want to see crime.
Worried about the border.
They're saying, we don't want these people coming in. We don't want you burning our shopping centers. We don't want you shooting our people in the middle of the street. The radicals on the left are the problem. And they're vicious, and they're horrible, and they're politically savvy. Although they want men and women sports, they want transgender for everyone, they want open borders.
Now, let's just say you had two opposing groups. Let's call them gangs. I'm fine with that. And you had one gang leader that got all of his people together, and he's talking about everything that the other gang done did. He's going all the way down the line, going back decades, talking about all the stuff that all the gang done did. And intentionally omitting all the stuff that his own people have done. Like intentionally like not mentioning that at all, disregarding the losses that they had suffered. Now, why would a person do a thing like that? Would you make any case, or could you make any case that that leader is trying to bring about peace? Could you make any case that that leader is trying to bring about reconciliation and make society better? You would only do that, in order to rile up your gang, to motivate them to continue to fight. That's the only reasonable motivation for sending that message. And just because it comes from the president doesn't make it sound any different. In fact, it makes it sound a whole lot worse, especially considering this is all before they even knew who the suspect was. Grok explains Tyler Robinson's political beliefs. Spoiler alert, he's a MAGA groiper. But coming back black again, I do find it fascinating how we pick and choose these moments where we want to attach what some black people do to all black people in order to smear us as a group, right? When it fits the narrative, all of a sudden, we can get into a whole lot of profiling and assumptions and prejudices. Well, it's not racist if it's we can do that when it suits you. But in a moment like this, all of a sudden, that is laid bare. And the nonsensical nature of that is laid bare because there's no way you could reasonably look at any of this and have a level of side eye towards us at all. Now, the good thing, I will say, and I want to send some love out to all of the officials at the HBCUs, all the students at the HBCUs, all the people that were affected, and I'm very grateful that all of those folks are safe. But it looks like they are taking the right tone with all of this.
Mary Brown.
I graduated in 2018
and spent 30 years in the Army. The Chesterfield County resident drove past her alma mater, concerned for the students and her school. She wants students to know.
Don't feed into it. Go about what you stand for, and do not feed into the rhetoric. Know who you are and stand on that.
And VSU President Makola Abdullah has released a statement about the threat. He says, in part, to those who seek to silence or scare us, we will not be intimidated. For over a century, Virginia State University and other HBCUs have stood as beacons of knowledge, excellence, and resilience. Today's events only reaffirm our commitment to providing a safe and empowering environment for our students, faculty, and staff.
But I would like to circle back to what the woman said. Know who you are and stand on that, and don't feed into the rhetoric. Whether it comes from online, whether it comes from disingenuous politicians, whether it comes from the White House. Don't feed into the rhetoric. Know who you are and stand on that. I absolutely love that, and I'm very happy to see that things were resolved peacefully at HBCUs anyway. The same can't be said nationwide. USA, 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 USA. We saw, leading up to the identification of a suspect, zero accountability when it comes to all of the steps of violence on the way to this point. No accountability. So we know exactly how they will react to this news.
How are you holding up over the last 3.5 days? I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks. They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty. It'll be an absolutely magnificent structure. And I just see all the trucks. We just started, so it'll get done very nicely, and it'll be one of the best anywhere in the world, actually. Thank you so much.
That's right. They've already moved on to, what was that? The trucks and the ballroom that they're being constructed. They've already moved on to dancing. So all that anger, all that fury that you were feeling, MAGA, it's not inappropriate, but it is misdirected. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Now, there's not a lot that we can count on these days. There's death, taxes, and the Cowboys being trash.
Y'all are trash. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Y'all are trash.
And I mean trash. But one of the other things you can count on is my Tuesday lives. They started on Tuesday nights, and then we went to the afternoon, and then they went back to nights, and wow, I've been out here tacoing like Trump. I have all the commitment of a new ICE recruit. Well, here's the thing. Huh? There's so much that's happening in the afternoons. I find that's probably a good time for me to do my lives, and I can give some more immediate reactions. There'll be some polls that'll go up on the community tab, so be on the lookout for that. Also be on the lookout, especially while you're in the comments, for imposters. I mean, really, these imposters and these scam artists love my content more than I do. Honestly, they be there more than Miss Ray.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok.
Scammers love my content like X loves racism.
Finger licking good special. That's what I'm talking about.
But I want you to know, because I get emails from folks all the time thinking that we had a whole text conversation. And man, I wish I had that deniability back in the day. That wasn't me. That was scammers. I never invited you over and left my actual address. That wasn't me.
Stop the cap.
I would never ask you for your phone number via a comment, and I certainly wouldn't list mine.
You have to trust your gut.
If you see these kinds of comments, please report them immediately and send them to my attention at admin@reesewaters.com. You know what? You can also send there any of these merch pics. Well, you know what? We got a whole merch unboxing from Paulette. You go, girl.
They have it very well packed in this customized box that holds it perfectly in place. Aha! The new Reese Waters merch. Reese, what's up? Way of Waters.
Thank you so much for that, Paulette. There's a lot more where that came from at reesewaters.com. And be on the lookout, because there's a lot more drops coming just in time for the holiday season.